Joaquim Menezes, online editor, IT World Canada. I'm here at the Adobe offices in Toronto to find out more about Adobe Captivate 3, the latest version of Adobe's e-learning tool. With me are Abbas Rizvi, an Adobe Solutions architect and an expert in Adobe's web development and e-learning apps, and Colin Smith, a senior Adobe Solutions architect and a much sought-after instructor on Adobe products. Abbas and Colin, thanks for doing this interview.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, let's start with the basics. Abbas, what is Adobe Captivate 3? Could you give us a capsule description?
So Adobe Captivate 3 is primarily an e-learning tool, an e-learning content development tool, and it allows trainers or educators or people in sales and marketing to create really engaging e-learning content in the Flash format.
Okay, so who could use this tool effectively? Educators immediately come to mind. Who else?
So it would be anybody in the sales and marketing, people that are recording information that need to play it back, or people in IT that need to create demonstration movies on how to do things, you know, how to set up your browser. You can record these and play them back for anybody.
Yeah, or even if you think about HR departments that need to create soft skills simulations or scenario-based training, maybe sexual harassment training, content like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it seems that Captivate enables you to create this fairly broad range of content. But what tools does the end user require to view this content once it's been created?
All you need is a browser and the Flash plugin to be able to view this, and that's the great thing. It's like 96% of the computers out there have the Flash player already installed, so you simply go to a URL and it starts to play back.
And the minimum requirement is Flash Player 7, which is probably like 3-4 years old, so it's definitely on pretty much everyone's desktop already.
So what's new in Adobe Captivate 3 as compared with the previous version?
So in Adobe Captivate 3, we actually addressed some of the long-standing requirements that our Captivate customers had. One of the things that they wanted was the ability to do multi-mode recording, so record their steps once and have a demonstration and a simulation created at the same time. We also allow you to now import PowerPoint content with animations, which means that you can use PowerPoint as your animation building tool and then import that content into Captivate as Flash animations. And then thirdly, we wanted to address the concerns that some trainers had about creating quizzing content. So we allowed the randomization of questions, so pulling questions from a pool, and even shuffling answers within a particular question. So as students are taking the same content over and over again, they're not getting the same experience. So the right answer isn't always C.
Okay, so these features, randomization, shuffling answers, etc., how do they contribute to the overall effectiveness of an e-learning program?
So as far as e-learning content is concerned, this is something that we've heard from our customers over and over again, the ability to be able to present something different to a user if they're taking the same type of training. Let's say every year they have to certify for a particular training that you don't want to give them the same content. So now you could have a pool of 150 questions or something, and then only display 50 questions at a time, and even the order of those questions would be random, and the choices that you have within those questions would be randomized as well. So in effect, you get a very, very customized experience for each individual that's going in and taking the training. So it really increases the effectiveness of the overall training that's being provided.
It does seem that this is a fairly feature-rich program. But I find that as a rule, the more powerful a program is, the more difficult it is to actually learn and use. Colin, how does Captivate stack up in this respect?
Well, that's the amazing thing about Captivate is if you know how to do a presentation in PowerPoint, then you know how to use Captivate, because in its very simplest form, you can start recording a regular demonstration, and it's recording every move you do. And as soon as you're finished, you click Done, and that's creating a Captivate presentation. But you can take it a little bit further than that if you want.
Yeah, and even taking it further, still, it's basically desktop tools knowledge, right? So as long as you're comfortable in a product like PowerPoint, you're going to be successful with Captivate, and it doesn't require any Flash authoring knowledge. That's one of the key benefits, the fact that you don't need to know Flash at all in order to create this accessible Flash content.
People generally like an e-learning program that's engaging and really draws them in. Are there any features in Captivate 3 that promote user engagement?
One of the themes that we had, one of the key development themes for Adobe Captivate 3 was the concept of engagement. So things like, rollover slide that kind of let you experience additional information within a straight presentation, for example, or the ability to add video content, which we introduced in Captivate 2, or all of these things are going to allow trainers to really create rich, engaging content without having to have a lot of background in multimedia development.
Colin, I'm curious about why a Mac version of the product wasn't created. Is it likely we'll see a Mac version in future?
Well, originally when the product was brought over and Macromedia had the original product, it was Windows only, and it's been Windows only from the beginning. And we would love to hear from Mac users. It really is a matter of how many users out there that are creating this content that want a Mac version. If enough of them want it, we'll look into developing this product, but as it stands right now, it is a Windows only product.
Abbas, many would view Captivate as a fairly niche product, targeted at very specific groups, students for instance. Are there ways the product could be used profitably in a corporate enterprise context?
You're right, actually Captivate could be perceived as as a niche tool, but in fact it has a lot of benefits for large enterprise companies, and we have a lot of customers making use of Captivate in various areas. So for example, Salesforce training, or the HR department trying to get information out about different programs and benefits and so forth. Or if you think about consumer training, or not necessarily training but consumer manuals, so rather than textual descriptions of how to perform a step, show it to them through a demonstration or through a simulation. Or if you think about compliance training, which is really important, you need to be able to show that people have taken a certain type of training, that they've received certain types of certifications, so you can create the content in Captivate and deploy it using something like Connect throughout an enterprise. So there really are a lot of implications and benefits for large companies using Captivate.
Okay, so could you cite some corporate customer examples to illustrate these benefits?
You can go on the Captivate product page, and there's actually a number of case studies, but the one that's featured right now is for Safety Clean, which is a large manufacturing operation, and they're using Captivate to create e-learning content for their entire staff. There's a very famous consumer electronics company. If you go to their website, their Canadian website, about how to change batteries in a camera, or to perform some other types of actions, what you'll see the little Captivate loading screen at the beginning of each of those modules. So obviously a lot of people using Captivate, both internally for internal knowledge training, but then also externally to customer-facing applications.
You've clarified earlier that it doesn't require a lot of prior expertise to start using Captivate. All the same, for those who want to get up to speed on its various features, what are some of the help tools and options available?
So as far as help is concerned in Captivate, right from the first screen, from the start screen, you can access tutorial information on how to perform particular tasks in Captivate. And then further on, you've got a full-blown help system within Captivate. And what's also kind of nice is that when you're working in Captivate, at any given dialog box, you're going to have linked to context-sensitive help on that particular issue. So if you are creating a quiz and you don't quite know what you're doing, you can click on the information icon on that particular dialog box, and you'll go to that specific section in the help section. So there's a lot of information available within the tool itself that's going to help users get up to speed on Captivate.
Abbas and Colin, I do appreciate your taking the time to do this interview. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.